Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel where medical and science topics are made easy. Today I'm going to be covering parts of the brain. This is part 2 of the video. If you haven't watched the first part yet, I highly recommend that you do so because this video builds off of it. You can find the link in the description below. The reason why I split this up into 2 videos is because there are just so many structures to talk about and we do want to cram everything into one long video. Besides, part 1 got pretty long anyways. Today we'll be talking about more parts of the brain including the limbic system, cerebellum, brainstem, and more. As always, I've included timestamps in the description below if you want to skip around. Also, I am going to have a quiz after we go over all these terms just to test your knowledge, so make sure to stick around for that. And lastly, I put a lot of time and effort into making these videos, so if you find them helpful, please hit the like button or subscribe. It really helps out a lot. Okay, let's begin. Let's begin with the limbic system. This is a collection of structures that are involved in behavior that is related to survival, and it is also involved in our emotions and motivation. The structures of the limbic system include the amygdala, the hippocampus, hypothalamus, corpus callosum, olfactory bulb, and the prefrontal cortex. So the first structure I mentioned was the amygdala, and you can kind of think of this structure like the brain's alarm system, because it processes our emotions, especially those that involve survival such as fear. When processing emotions, it works closely with another structure called the hippocampus. The hippocampus is involved in forming new memories, and it also helps us differentiate between a threatening situation and a non-threatening situation. So imagine walking down a dark alley by yourself at night. Your amygdala will activate and send signals to your hippocampus to see if this situation is actually dangerous or not. If it is, then the hippocampus will communicate with other areas of the brain like the hypothalamus to initiate a fight, flight, or freeze response. The hypothalamus itself is also part of the limbic system, but instead of focusing on emotional responses, the hypothalamus focuses on our internal environment. It's responsible for regulating things like hunger, thirst, and body temperature. So when you're thirsty, the hypothalamus will send signals to the pituitary gland, which will then release the hormone antidiuretic hormone. That hormone tells the kidneys to conserve water and to reabsorb more water back into the body. The hypothalamus also has a role in the endocrine system. Remember that the endocrine system is made up of glands that secrete hormones. The hypothalamus is responsible for linking the nervous system and the endocrine system together. So it controls the pituitary gland, which in turn controls the thyroid gland, the adrenal glands, the ovaries, and the testes. Lastly, the hypothalamus is also responsible for regulating sleep-wake cycles. It does this by controlling another gland called the pineal gland, which secretes the hormone melatonin. Alright, moving on to the next structure of the limbic system, which is the corpus callosum. This is a thick band of nerve fibers that connects the right and left cerebral hemispheres. Lastly, the remaining structures of the limbic system includes the olfactory bulb and the prefrontal cortex. We won't be going too much into these structures since we've already covered them in part 1, but just a quick review. The olfactory bulb is responsible for our sense of smell, and the prefrontal cortex is responsible for higher-level functions like decision-making and social behavior. Moving away from the limbic system, the next thing we'll be covering is the cerebellum. The cerebellum is located at the back of the brain, and it is responsible for coordinating voluntary movements. It also plays a role in maintaining our balance and posture. In addition, the cerebellum is involved in processing sensory information like touch and pain, and it helps regulate our emotions. Lastly, let's cover the brainstem. The brainstem is the connection between the brain and the spinal cord, and it is made up of 3 parts: the midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. The midbrain is the top part of the brainstem, and is responsible for certain reflexes like pupil response to light, and also the response to certain eye movements. The pons is located beneath the midbrain and it is involved in regulating breathing as well as sleep-wake cycles. The pons is also involved in sensory information like taste. Lastly, the medulla oblongata is the bottom part of the brain stem and it is responsible for regulating vital life functions like breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure. Now that we've gone over all the parts of the brain, it's time for a quiz. I have 8 questions for you. First question, what is the function of the amygdala? A. Regulate body temperature. B. Process emotions. C. Control eye movements. Or D. Secrete melatonin. Second question, which structure is responsible for coordinating voluntary movements? A. Cerebellum. B. Midbrain. C. Pons. Or D. Medulla oblongata. Third question, what is the function of the hippocampus? A. Regulate hunger and thirst. B. Form new memories. C. Connect the right and left cerebral hemispheres. Or D. Secrete antidiuretic hormone. Fourth question, which gland does the hypothalamus control that in turn controls the rest of the endocrine system? A. Thyroid gland. B. Pineal gland. C. Pituitary gland. Or D. Adrenal gland. Fifth question, the thalamus is responsible for processing what type of information? A. Auditory and visual. B. Spatial and auditory. C. Motor and sensory. Or D. All types of sensory information except smell. Sixth question, what is the name of the structure that connects the left and right cerebral hemispheres? A. Corpus callosum. B. Cerebellum. C. Brainstem. Or D. Limbic system. Seventh question, which part of the brain is responsible for regulating breathing? A. Pons. B. Midbrain. C. Medulla oblongata. Or D. Both O and C. And lastly, question no. 8. What is the function of the prefrontal cortex? Maintain our balance and posture. B. Regulate hunger and thirst. C. Control our sense of smell. Or D. Responsible for higher level functions like decision making. Alright, let's go over the answers. Question 1. The correct answer is B. Process emotions. Question no 2. The correct answer is A. Cerebellum. Question no 3. The correct answer is B. Form new memories. Question no 4. The correct answer is C. Pituitary gland. Question no 5. The correct answer is D. All types of sensory information except smell. Question no 6. The correct answer is A. Corpus callosum. Question no 7. The correct answer is D. Both O and C. And lastly, question no 8. The correct answer is D. Responsible for higher level functions like decision making. That's the end of the video. I hope it was helpful. If you found it helpful, please hit the like button or subscribe. It really helps out a lot. I have links to all the notes and pictures used in this video in the description below. Also make sure to check out part 1 if you haven't already. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys next time.